Hi everyone, myself Krish Raithukam, very warm welcome to all. And this is day 10 of Foundation AI series. So in this day, we normally talk about like sustainable AI and ethics of artificial intelligence. And we cover lots of major risks that in the future, what in this after artificial evolution of artificial development, intelligent development. So we look lots of objective there and what the basic context behind this all this particular concept and overall agenda that we discuss for today is all about like the first one is the AI ethics, and second thing that we cover like sustainable AI development. What is the sustainable AI development? And third thing is lot of about like risk of artificial intelligence. So what kind of the risk that you think like in artificial intelligence? So that's all about it, and I will try to explain you in such all this concept and very efficiently and very clearly. And if this particular video is going to productive for you and if you learn something from that, then it's my pleasure. And so let's get started. Hey, let's come to agenda number one. And in this agenda, we are talking about like yeah, ethics. So this is a very useful agenda for understanding like different dimension of like to different dimension, looking toward the different dimension of the artificial intelligence. So that's the important part to discuss. So I'm too much excited to discuss about this because of that. In now the race, the people are moving toward like lots of developer, lots of company are moving toward the shifting toward the artificial intelligence because by looking toward their like equity of artificial intelligence to the people among the people. So that's the important part. So let me discuss first. So what is the AI ethics? So let's come to discuss what exactly AI ethics is. The first AI ethics is you can say the something we are going to discuss about like this kinds of the technology. This is the new technology which is what the impact, what is not impact, and who is responsible for if this particular technology doing wrong in this real world, then who is the responsible, and what kind of things that we need to look toward this artificial intelligence. So looking toward all dimension, like I think like discussing about AI ethics is all about something, this arrays, this rise of the new technology, what the impact, what the accountable, and what the transparency, and what kind of fairness that we can look. So let's come to discuss the first point uh, like in AI ethics, like mainly we discuss like fairness, transparency, accountability. So the first, let me discuss of fairness. So as we know, the AI model is designed by data biases. So data biases is responsible for this. In fact, looking to entire journey of artificial intelligence, let me discuss the first how the biases create. So as we know, we discussed this in our first video like about data biases. uh, in previous video I discussed what is the biases. So biases, I give a short description of biases. So biases is all about domination of one type of information in particular response of artificial intelligence. For example, you can take now suppose if you given a like best example for you image generation model. So when you say image generation model to such as now suppose generate a image of doctor, why particular model generate only foreigner doctor are generally for different backgrounds, so why they generate only for foreigner doctor? Because of that they have a lots of data invariants, like varieties of data collection. So they have a large data sets of this particular kinds of the doctors, like foreign doctors image, so that's they generate an image like this. So that's how the biases of artificial intelligence, and this biases causes particular machine or artificial intelligence dominate over one specific decision, one specific, either this particular decision in against the human or something favor of the human. So uh, you can say the biases is that kind of things. So uh, so that the main risk is like fairness. We develop a model but looking toward the fairness, like uh, fairness, like now suppose if you develop a model, okay, now suppose some model treat and giving a response to different people according to background. For example, we take as India, as we Indian, we already believe in the concept of their caste, okay. So now suppose this is a AI model, and basically they have a different caste. Okay, they understand the varieties of the caste. They premium user and SC and ST as such as giving a response is different, uh, like like you can say such a different response as compared from that high quality response, like response to general, and OBC and ST get such a low quality response. So that is the fairness. So we need to create a model, but we need to look toward there what kind of fairness the every background in our world, in the country, should should to fair of each groups, each backgrounds by this particular model. So that's all about fairness. That's all about bias of artificial intelligence. So that's the basic ethics of artificial intelligence. We need to figure it out like fairness. So how can we treat this particular, how can we solve this data fairness? So as we discussed in our previous video about how can we solve this data bias. So the main way to solve, like giving a variety of data as a equal data, like you given a data like OBC, general, SC and ST as a similar kinds of data, not at enough and very high and low, all this type. And that's the important part. Okay, so what the more thing that we should to do, like designing an algorithm in such way like they cannot create a bias of any specific looking toward background or any kinds of the like caste or something like this. Okay, so that's the algorithm. Second process that can really heal the particular data biases is like you can say it's all about human in loop, like a human can keep the human to monitor particular model and like look their biases and solve this kinds of biases. So that's all about it. So that the process that we need to following the data bias. So to fixing the data biases, we can look toward the algorithm, data, variety of data we need, algorithm, data, and you can say the second thing that like third thing is important, human loop. So we keep a human in a loop to just solve this particular problem, human in loop. So that's okay, so that's fine. Algo, data, human in loop. So this particular three approach that definitely solve the data biases. Okay, for regular monitoring the particular system, that is very necessary for looking toward the biases. So that's the one more ethics of artificial intelligence. Okay, so entire environment of this ethics. So one, this ethics is a part of the uh, like you can say fairness is a part of the ethics of artificial intelligence. So that's how. Okay, so let's come to the transparency. So in this case of transparency, like transparency refer to our constitution also believe in transparency. So as similar in artificial and the growth of new technology, we need to believe and we should to believe in the transparency concepts. So that is the necessary part. Because of that, like as we know, the Manhattan Project by Spacely, the this is a not transparent project, you can say, by USA, and this particular project create a disaster in like Japan, like you can say, uh, Nagasaki, Koimiya, and such kinds of the place. I don't remember. I'm not remember what the place is, but exactly that the process happened. So that's all about it. You can say transparency. So transparency is all about how open to discuss anything, how like this model, like suppose Gemini, OpenAI, and like lots of AI LLM models, how open to discuss. So it's all about like particular thing that developing that need to be discussed, open to discuss in the favor of the government, in the favor of the company, in the favor of the citizen. So that's the necessary part. So in the case of transparency, I think like there are three kinds of the three main points that I mentioned in transparency that any company, like any AI model should to follow for before launching a particular like in after launching like in real world. Okay, so the first is technical transparency, TT, refer to technical transparency. So in this technical transparency, it's all about like company just give a detailed information about like how much this model is make and how the train, what kind of data use and all this stuff. Okay. Okay. So it's all about like technical backgrounds of this particular technology that a particular company should to share. Not at all they cannot fully democratize this all the architecture of the entire architecture of the technical backgrounds of the particular model, but they can share some part. Okay, because of that some information is need to just keep in privacy because of that securities. Okay, so second thing is like procedural transparency. So procedural transparency refer to something like how this thing is mad, look how this particular model is developed, what kind of data you use, what kind of the risk is possible. So what kind of the particular thing is like what procedure that you use to develop this kinds of technology. So it's all about procedural transparency. And third thing like impact transparency, that's the important one, that every model like every LLM models nowadays you can you listen lots of news about ChatGPT like something uh, like something like you hear about like ChatGPT suggests someone to suicide. Is it not possible? So this is not possible in nowadays, but in previous time, launching this particular kinds of the model, ChatGPT AI model, the sometime they given a fault response and sometimes they hallucinate and all this stuff. But nowadays the model is developed in such way like they can understand much capable for understanding much criteria over there. So impact transparency refer to those things like something what kind of impact that actually created by in real world. So companies should to record it and just keep it open. For example, if the chat gpt suggests you to suicide, that company should to say that this chat gpt can make mistake. Okay, so I think like chat gpt in the after the prompt, like after the input bar of the chat gpt, the uh, like below this input bar, like they also note down that they added some text like chat gpt can make mistake. So that's the thing. Okay, so that's all about like impact transparency, that what kind of the real world scenario that that particular model can make mistake. So that's all about transparency. And this part is necessary because of that like America and USA, like USA hide this Manhattan project and after this create a disaster. So like similar thing. So transparency is important because they created such a boundary for the particular company to practice something or something all. So that's all about. Okay. Second thing is accountability. So accountability is important. Like this is also important and this is also part of AI ethics. Accountability refer to how much someone is responsible of misbehaving of this particular model in this real world. So it's all about in real world some model are suggesting people to suicide or something like this types of the response. Then who is responsible for it? Is it company? Is it something like organization? Is it government? I think like they all are responsible. Like group of people, human and organization and a company. So to track this particular thing in such a way that they keep in make on a cycle to just launching this kinds of the product and just monitoring product and looking toward it. So I think like key pillars of the like accountability, like traceability. So how can you solve this accountable? So if someone is accountable, okay. So how I know this particular model is accountable? How I know? Accountable means who is responsible for. How can I adjust this particular? So accountability is all about trust and safety. How I can trust this particular model is right working or wrong. So it's all about like safety guidelines to if something happen, like if someone get response as a suicide and someone do suicide after getting a response of the chat gpt or other llm model, then I think like who is responsible, who pay this particular suicide of the one human. So who's, is it company, is it government, or is it an organization who actually working behind it? So that's all about. So I think like accountability refer to like traceability. So it's all about unpack the black box. So consider this particular chat GPT as a black box. So the first of all, making any particular model like LLM model, artificial intelligence model, to unbox it from their black box. So black box refer to something is hidden, all about like technical failure, technical design, how this actually designed, how this particular thing is designed, and all this stuff. So for an accountable model that we should to need, we need a model which unpack the black box. So in fact, what the process, what the technical architecture used here, so that's we need to such as uh, trace this all this particular thing, like each steps of the technical, like how they particular chat gpt make a decision, so we should to know about it. So that is the traceability. Second thing is like human oversight. We keep on a human like to such as oversight, like looking toward the monitoring and all this stuff, to just managing the model and all this stuff. Second thing like audibility. So that is the detailed record. So company should to an accountable model like ChatGPT give a detailed record of each trial for each version. They need to keep it. Okay. Okay. So second thing like contestability, and contestability refer to provide avenue against the impacted people. Like someone you can say, if someone is impacted by the artificial intelligence, the company should to pay this particular person. Okay, so that's the contestability, but this contestability term is not follow in right now, because of that company are firing a lots of employees and lots of things, but lots of employees, but they cannot show the contestability according to it. Okay, so that's all about it. So that's entire process of the AI ethics, and that's the basic concept that you should to know about before jumping in maths and coding. Maths coding is just as a technical term. We discuss a lots of important concept from tomorrow, but today is all about like something like a different perspective. How can we look this all these concept in such way, like different way? What the way to discuss? What the way to not discuss? So it's all about it. So. Uh, Overall agenda for AI ethics. In this agenda, we basically cover a little bit around AI ethics, where we cover up fairness, like data biases. So what kind of data biases is? So how can we solve this data biases? So in data biases, we looked at how one information dominate over entire society. Like you can say, they how can they treat? Like we take an example for uh, how they actually model response in different background by looking toward the backgrounds. Like India, we believe in such as caste. So okay, that's the data bias. Second, we look at transparency, that every model should do transparent over technical, over procedural, over you can say. Second one is like impact transparency, and accountability, who is responsible for after this. So I think like entire process of accountability, I think like government and I think like you can say organization, company is responsible for the, and that's the important part, and I try to explain you all this particular. Let's move toward agenda number 2. Hey, let's come to agenda number 2, and in this agenda we're talking about the sustainable development of artificial intelligence. Like how can we develop AI sustainably by looking toward by decreasing the environmental impact. So that's the important part to discuss. So let's come to discuss the first thing. We discuss like equity, and second thing is energy. So in priority wise, if I said this priority wise, like the first is energy. As you know, the artificial intelligence is totally dependent on our electricity. Like now data center like Google, why, even you notice like the why Google is starting this particular data center in like you like India, investing a lots of particular thing in India. Like why the all the foreigner company come and just make a data center in India? Why they are doing? The one main reason that I think like in India, that huge population, and the lots of user there, and that's the basic reason. And the main reason I think like I'm not going to controversy for anything, but the basic thing like they started the particular thing, like the people in this India, like lots of people have a like lack of knowledge in data center, so they don't know what the impact of the data center. So lots of government and peoples are incorporating with like cooperating with data center, And in US, like lots of people are literate, and they know what the environmental impact of data center, and they research the lots of thing around it. So they not want to say, just make this particular data center in the front of the like cities and all this stuff. Because of that, data center using like tera like electricity in like huge amounts of electricity. So in fact, I say like it they use electricity in such way like uh, in the case of the electricity uses, like USA is the very first get a priority of the electricity of data center. Like lots of data center is here, and the hub of data center is now become the India is now hub of the data center also. So data center use consume electricity as a very high. Because of that, there are lots of uses there, electricity in like model training. And for data center, like running data center, we need a 24-hour electricity, like 24/7 electricity. For running a particular data center, running a model and training a model, we need a huge electricity demands there in data center. And so data center using electricity, and the peoples in India like basically are have a lack of knowledge there in the data center understanding, like what the environmental damage. They need energy as electricity, and the energy to generating faster in electricity, we use natural resources, like for example coal, petroleum. This is a possible way to generating electricity, like huge amount, to fulfilling the huge demands of the electricity. And the main reason is that like people are not understanding what the environmental impact. So that's the necessary part to discuss about, like the government should to focus on what the environmental impact. Like if the Sundar Pichai come and invest lots of money in the Visakhapatnam to making a data center, the government should to take care of the environmental damage, and should to keep their what the impact on this. So that's the important priority that government should to do. Because first the environmental focus, and second the technological development. So the government should to focus on there. So that's the important part. And that's why the peoples are not raising, and the lots of forest will be cut down, and deforestation happen due to their particular decentralized data center development, data center development. And so that's how the particular company are investing in India, and that's my perspective I'm looking for. And there are lots of also advantage of data center if the particular data center develop in India. There are lots of opportunity like job and all this stuff. Okay. And that's the important part. But energy usage is increasing very demand, like energy electricity is very necessary, and they directly depend. Like suppose data center depend upon energy. Energy come from the natural resources. So natural resources like coal, petroleum, and these are particular resources which are not available in abundance. So those resources which are not available in abundance, that resources are not used in the data center. So that's the priority government should to focus. They make data center which use like renewable energy, like um, you can say solar and all this stuff, like electrovoltaic energy. You can say something uh, like green energy. They can use it, and lots of opportunity rise according to it. And that's my priority. Like natural resources will be destroyed and come in endangered. Because of that, the particular uses of the electricity and the data center is more capable for it. So for reducing, we use the sustainable development. For now, how can we the sustainable development, AI development, we need to focus on. For making a data center, we keep renewable resources. Okay, we use renewable resources for giving providing electricity either in the form of cooling. So data center also need a cooling, so need to cool for because a lots of GPU run, and they create a massive amounts of it, so temperature raise. So that's why we need to keep it cool. Okay, so that's the important part. So so the way to solve, we need to use a sustainable development, like sustainable renewable resources for developing data center. Okay. Okay, second thing is equity, like sustainable development. In the case of sustainable development of artificial intelligence, equity is very important. Why this particular thing is important? Like the first way to discuss about the equity is all about like something you can say to creating a environmental impact. like something creating such as AI. So we need to ensure that this all these particular benefits of artificial intelligence distributed in each person equally in fair manner. Like the government actually using AI. So now suppose Meta lay off 10,000 employee. Okay, so Meta lay off, Google also lay off, and TCS also lay off due to the AI. If this AI replace this particular person, the benefits and the losses need to cover this kinds of the company. So the way to understand those people who are affected by artificial intelligence, we need to treat them as like something paying a salary, what they want, like what they go. So that's all about it. So uh, we need to distribute the benefit of artificial intelligence in fair manner to all the people, all the community in a fair way. So that's the equity. So equity is important. Because of that, on the growing demand of artificial intelligence, we developing artificial intelligence, we need to ensure that this kinds of the benefit of artificial intelligence distributed in each people and each community in fair way. So that's the particular equity. And I think like for sustainable AI development, government should to focus on energy and sustainable using sustainable energy and treating as a giving a equal like fair benefits to every community of the people. So that's the true sustainable development of artificial intelligence, and hope so. That's the important part. And let's come to agenda number three. Okay, let's come to agenda number three. And in this agenda, we are talking about like AI risk. So what the risk, major risk, raise after the AI evolution, after coming this new technology. So let's come to understand. So the first thing is like privacy and security. Second one is biases, energy, and human dependency. So one of the best risk, one of the you can say if I on my priority order, like energy is a high demand, like lots of risk there. Like the technology developing this technology, the profit-based company like SpaceX and OpenAI and Anthropic are using data center which basically use huge amounts of energy in the form of electricity, and they use natural resources for generating electricity. So I think like that's the major risk. And so that's the major risk that we are looking for. And second thing like biases. So as we know, like is like information like this particular technology cannot just create a biases to understanding all this particular metrics, to understanding all this particular thing, uh like treating different backgrounds people as differently, behaving something differently, and creating such biases in any kinds of the information. Okay, so that's the basic risk. Second one is privacy and security. First example, every person have a non privacy, and lots of company maintain this privacy, but what happen if the privacy violate? For example, now suppose as you know, like deep fake AI. So deep fake image generated nowadays, like Donald Trump is dancing, yeah, our PM Modi is also dancing, so that's kinds of things happen. So in that video we are such as violating the privacy rule of the particular leader and the highly rated peoples, like highly valuable peoples. So what happened with this privacy violated, like say, highly valuable people? What happened with the that normal people who have a lack of understanding around it? So that's an important part to understand. Like security and privacy risk is very high in this AI evolution, and in that day of the after this new technology arrays, and that's the important part to discuss. And the second thing like human dependency. So in the case of human dependency, just I want to say right, like this important part is like only for like how much the human dependent to in such kinds of the technology. Like people are too much dependent, they like they don't know what their own ability. Like as we are humans, we are creative and we are emotional. What happen, we are taking every decision like emotional decision and all these kinds of decision with the technology like chat gpt. We're dependent with each like chat gpt with over dependent to every decision. then I think that creators such as shaping that just forget the every that human lifeline, like human can forget their own ability. So that's the major risk also. And after all, privacy and security, biases, energy, and human dependency, that's the important risk that we are looking toward. And that's the important part also for understanding much better. uh, as you know, like the risk is very high in this particular day, but also have a solution. Like as we know, like biases, we have a lots of solution. And privacy and security, we need to keep a strong privacy and security. Like Anthropic recently announced it, like cloud methods, and cloud methods violate the all rule of the finding vulnerability in their software. Okay, so I think like they such an amazing model of the Anthropic. So they recently they violate the privacy and security rule. They are able to violate the privacy and like this kinds of the rule. And they also have a solution for privacy, and so we need to concern about this kinds of the particular thing like privacy and security around this artificial intelligence. Second thing is like human development, so human dependency, sorry, human dependency. So we need to keep our decision, like emotional decision, by according to the kinds of the technology that we need. So that's important part to discuss, to understanding much better about human dependency, like how much people are dependent to artificial intelligence. And we take only for amplifying the work productivity, as we using artificial intelligence for work productivity, not for taking out emotional decision like on family matters and anything else. So okay, so that's all about the major risk range up after this new technology come. And they all this particular risk have on such kinds of a solution, but we need to focus on for developing this kinds of the infrastructure. So that's okay. And again, if this particular video is going to productive for you, and if you learn something about there, then it's my pleasure. So thanks for watching. See you soon.